Mhm. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? Um, we have just gone live. We are about to um, do our quick shares to notify everyone to come on in to join us on the feed. So, how long do we have, sir?
3 minutes.
Okay. So that'll give us the opportunity to get everybody notified and, ooh, oh, that'll give us a chance to do. And today we are talking about men's emotional health. So, see, as one of the men over here, well, as the man that's actually here, grumbles, and so we are going to delve into this pretty intensely, and then who knows where the conversation will go. Y'all see my pretty sister as she licks her tongue out at me. As she look, as she licked her tongue out at me. It's been a day and a half today, so we are looking forward to. Oh, now that's a good idea to take it up and bring it down. Okay. No wonder I'm not seeing it.
What are you not doing?
Um, because I was on one device. I'm on to this thing on the Key D Life, and on another I am actually okay. Now I was on my actual um, public share. Well, you know what? I say we go ahead and in a second go ahead and get this party started. You know, we can't allow certain things to keep us from moving forward.
Because you know it's life.
Yeah,
That's what
look,
we talk
that's it all day, every
That's
day.
what it, that's
Have
what
you
we call
already?
it.
Yeah, have you already tagged everybody?
No,
Okay,
I just started
okay,
putting
Shane.
them in. Yeah.
Okay,
I haven't actually.
now what song is that?
No dope on Sundays.
That's an interesting title.
Right?
That's an interesting title. So you're tagging the ones that are in our
I'm not tagging nobody. I'm dropping it.
oh, okay, cool.
I'm dropping it every which way, but I'm not tagging anybody.
Okay. So I'll do the tagging. I will do some tagging. Yep, yep.
Oh, I meant to tell you. Little sister was talking about. She hadn't interacted on the thread because even though I was like trying to introduce her to everybody,
Mhm.
because she had a student that was playing with a gun and ended up, yeah, so she lost a student.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to hear that.
Yeah. I like this one better.
Mhm.
I like this one better than
I agree.
I don't know when I always saying don't do that.
Good evening, good evening, and welcome to our February 13th edition of This Thing Called Life. Today is supposed to be Men Speak, and they're supposed to be talking about men's emotional health.
But the men are missing, so I guess they're emotional.
Yeah, our men folk are missing, other than our wonderful, wonderful engineer, producer, boss, radio station owner,
Yeah.
man of many, many hats,
Right.
Steve. But, the other gentlemen are, they're MIA at the moment. But, again, as I always say, that is a part of this thing called life.
Life.
I try not to sweat the small stuff because, again, it's all a part of life. And that's why the show is named what it is.
Right.
What we are talking about this evening is men's emotional health. And I think one of the things that is always, just kind of a sore thumb, or is even a stigma in our community, is, it is men's emotional health. It's like a man feels that, some men, let me rephrase that, feel that they are weak, or that they'll be looked at in some kind of way, or that they will be thought to be or looked at as less than a man for actually acknowledging their emotions and actually acknowledging, hey, I'm hurting, I need help, I'm having a moment, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, whatever it may be. So because of that, they're just like, oh, okay, well, that makes you less of a man, which
Burns our butt.
it does. And I personally, hello, see, there's our sister. Our sister's here. A theatrist. I personally am going to say, you know what, that is a whole crock of shit. Y'all have to forgive me, I am not the politically correct one. I do not believe, and again, this is just my own personal, personal. If the only expression a man can show, the only emotion a man can show is anger, then you talk about being a strong man. But I don't necessarily see that as a strong man. I see a strong man as someone being able to say, this is who I am.
Someone that's not afraid to show his vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
I can say that word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What are your thoughts? We heard you growl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the perfect world, yes. You would think in real life, men would be able to show their vulnerabilities. I mean, especially at least to the person that they trust. But some of us have this thing where we feel like showing vulnerability is going to open us up to hurt. And we don't like hurt. We're not built for hurt. So we try to do whatever we can to not get hurt. So showing vulnerability, I mean, and that's in every aspect, whether it's getting cool with somebody to start a business, starting a relationship, we always have to seem stronger. And we have all these unwritten rules that we follow that nobody ever writes these rules. They just happen. For instance, men like to, if you meet a new guy, you're trying to one up each other on the handshake. Can't go in with a weak handshake because that means that you're weak.
Or soft.
Yes, or
that's
soft.
the term I've heard often.
Yes, or soft.
And if you don't go up in there trying to crack someone's knuckles.
Yes, you have to go up in there trying to break each other's arm. So things like that are just ways that we express our perceived quote unquote madness.
Okay.
Because I am one of those people. I can be somewhat open. I jest a lot about all the. I'm really not like that though. I am more.
We appreciate
open
that.
to being open and sensitive. I've cried around a woman, and not because of like mourning. I've cried because of like
Life.
things were just not going right that day. Work was bad, or somebody said something bad, and I felt open enough with a person to just cry, and she was there. But most of the time, even in that situation, we feel like that's gonna make her turn and start using us or abusing us or mistreating us. We don't understand that this is the quote unquote woman that we are with, that has loved us and would never do anything intentional to hurt us. We can't accept that a lot of times. So we're always looking to close ourselves off so that we don't um, put ourselves in that situation where, soon as I get done crying, she gonna go tell her girlfriends that I was crying or something, like this stupid stuff.
So, in other words, the personal insecurities. You're
Mhm.
afraid that she's going to take your vulnerable moment
Yes.
and use it.
Right. Yeah. In most cases, yes. That is
She's going
exactly
to try to
right.
take your
And of course, I mean, most women, good women like y'all, we know that that is never going to happen. But that man is inside of us
that
says it. Yeah,
indoctrination
that
from
then
childhood.
yes, that indoctrination, tells us that yeah, this is gonna happen. Even though we know this woman loves our dirty drawers and she would never do anything like that, we still have that thing in us that says, yeah, I'm not gonna be vulnerable around her because she's gonna use that against me.
What
You
is
know.
it because, and this is something I've always wondered, you know, I grew up around a lot of guys. My best friend growing up was a guy. Um, but one thing that I always wondered is you all's lack of trusting us with information because you realized and grew up with other fellas taking your information and misusing it. Locker room talk.
That is probably more. That's probably more what the situation was. Looking back in retrospect, it probably was that. Um,
They say women gossip and women talk, but men tend to rattle off so
that's
much
why I stopped going to
more.
the barbershop because men talk more than women sometimes.
I mean, we'll give it all.
Oh yeah,
Deep down, the pretty, the ugly, you
yeah,
name it.
yeah. I mean because, like for instance, most women nowadays know you don't go running off at the mouth about your girl and or anybody you with that. You know,
Well, we would hope so.
Yeah, because you just don't do that because you know that that could possibly lead to her finding her way there. Men in the barbershop, they don't care. They gonna tell it all. Man, I did this to her, and she did this, and we did that, and the blah 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 blah. Um, so yeah, it could be part of that. Is that it's really what has been ingrained in you from things that other guys do more so than what a woman does. Because, I mean, like I said, most women are really just not going to be that way. Unless they're, cut like that from the get go, which they're out for something or just trying to get something or whatever. But anyone who you are with, who is truly with you, she's not going to dog you. She'd be the last one to mistreat you or have you out there. Number one, because she wouldn't even want people to think that she was with somebody who was, less than a man. So
Right.
she's really just not gonna be out just dogging you out unless she's really at that point where she's ready to start dogging you out. So
Hmm.
we really have to probably take a different look at why we are so afraid to open up because if that's the angle that you want to come from, we shouldn't be afraid. I mean, we should have that one person who we can always confide in. And most of the time, that's going to be your woman. Not going to be your boys. Because if you got homeboys, you tell one homeboy something, he's probably going to tell all the rest of the homeboys what went
You know
down.
what? That sounds a lot like what G says a lot.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't fool with
Around
guys.
dudes, yeah.
Yeah, because he talks about how men tend to. I can pull up. I'll pull it closer. He talks about how, messy men can be
Oh
sometimes.
yeah. Mm-mm.
And so, and I was like, and just listening to you talk, but then on the flip side of that coin, we do have those men that are not afraid to be vulnerable, to, to have that best friend that may be a guy even, to, so I was on WebMD and they were listing off, okay, the things that mentally healthy, you know, um, men do when dealing with, as far as emotional health. And they say mentally healthy men use mature coping methods to deal with adversity. It says in the struggle to manage life challenges, men may resort to immature coping methods, refusing to acknowledge one's problems, blaming others for personal failures, being passive aggressive, displacing anger, look, kicking the dog instead of the boss, or routinely escaping into a fantasy world. It says immature coping methods have disturbing telltale clues and they make you feel wonderful, but they have no sticking power because they are narcissistic. It says, in other words, blaming others and blowing up in rage may satisfy you, but no one else. And so it's like, they were talking about this one young man, but that's very interesting that that they would equate the outburst of the emotionalism to narcissism.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not really vibing with that. And it's, now I know what they say in terms of, you know, they may resort to immature coping, but I'm like, so for one person, hitting a wall may be that outlet that they need. Like, it's no different than going to the gym and hitting the punching bag, boxing, or, if you are into martial arts, going and, practicing your craft, and, or if you are a techie, being, maybe, or a gamer, getting on the game. Now, see, for me, I like to get on my game.
I
I
miss my
have,
game.
yeah, I love getting on my game. I know I'm a girl, but when it comes down to dealing with a lot of those emotions, sometimes I have the games that tend to, you know, equate me to, well, I'll just say this, violence. I like a lot of sword play,
Okay.
and things of that nature.
Which I think is funny because I play Call of Duty and I play Diablo.
Hmm.
And that's all about, let me find out 50,000 different ways that I can kill you
Yeah.
and kill everything in sight.
Wow.
Whereas, Call of Duty is let me strategize and still kill you. So, yeah.
Yeah, same for me. I'm more the, like I said, that hand to hand. But I like I like games where I'm using the weapons. Like the blades, like the God of Wars, that series, the Ninja Gaidens, and
Well, see, and that's why I think you would actually like the Diablo series that we have at
okay,
home. Like, we just need to just sit down and play.
And these
okay.
are stress coping mechanisms.
Yeah,
Yes.
because for me, I can envision
Like Steven's
that
like, I'm
individual.
gonna run.
But see, I can envision that stressful, whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be a person. It could be a situation. And so, if I have that sword in my hand and I'm able to just do a few kicks in there, like up to the side of the head, or give a couple gut, punches or
And
whatever.
I think in one aspect, that's it's the visual of it. But the other aspect is, just like you talked about going to the gym, it is the physical, you are releasing that physical aggression because I don't know about you, but when I play, I'm like,
Yeah, they talk about me. They say I'm fishing. It's
yeah.
like I'm fishing because when certain things are going on, it's like I'm like,
Oh yeah, I'm all with it. I'm
right.
gonna
And
steal
Steve was like,
everything.
oh, so I have two violent gamers in my presence.
Yeah.
I mean, I just get a glass of wine, a bubble bath. I don't know.
I guess I'm about that. I like, obviously, we like our wine.
And we like a bubble bath every now
Yeah,
and
we
then.
like it, a good
We like to
bubble
be
bath.
clean.
Yeah,
We like to
that.
be clean.
Yeah, I ain't got time. Let's blow some stuff up.
It's very therapeutic.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
I can
because
get
like today I had one of those days. I mean, I won't go into a whole lot of detail.
Yeah.
But I had like in the course of about an hour and a half, I had like 7 events to happen. And that's no exaggeration. I had like 7 things to just kind of hit me in the course of about an hour and a half.
Wow.
So I was seeing red. I could not see the computer in front of me. Like seeing red. And was just like, I'm done. And so, my post was just like, I need meditation. I need, a gym bag. I need a couple shots. I need to, because I need to get this out, because it was just like, I was just sitting there and just, oh yeah, come on in here. Yes. Because, we was just talking about you. I was talking about you. I ain't talking bad about you, but I was talking about you.
Hello, sir.
But, hi, boo.
This thing called life. This thing called life.
Sir Steve.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so y'all heard me say hi, boo. But he's truly my bestie.
Yeah.
He's an extension of our family.
Yes.
Posted shoot porn all week.
Yes. Oh my God, did you see the ones? Oh.
Shoe porn. Now who would do something like
That
that?
would be a start.
That would be
Somebody
cute.
been on this. Oh my God.
Yes.
Who would post shoe porn knowing that you all like shoes? Who would do such a disgraceful thing that it's just so not nice?
Look into the
I
camera.
know, right? Look in the mirror.
Look
Man
into
in
the
mirror.
camera.
Michael Jackson did one of those, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man in the mirror.
Man in the
Oh,
mirror. Yeah,
okay.
he sure did. So did.
Well, as you all can see, our quote unquote co-host is here. But look, our adopted co-host / guest is here. And we were just having a dialogue about
Go ahead. What's the dialogue?
I poured mine in here.
okay.
What's the dialogue?
We were talking about men's
emotional
emotional health.
Was that not the topic?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Where are we?
Maybe we just got into it.
Well, we were just talking about men key and our the way that we love to
Thank you.
yes sir
Violent
the way we
games.
love to use violent games to release anxiety and frustration.
I'm getting ready to, while you marinate on that for a minute, I'm going to read an article from Psychology Today. And it says, numerous researchers have recently stated that there's a silent crisis in men's mental health. This is based on robust evidence that men have high rates of various mental health issues. These include elevated rates of suicide and substance abuse, as well as low rates of mental health service use. Sadly, male gender often intersects with other variables to produce even higher rates in subgroups. Men make up over 75% of suicide victims in the United States.
Wow.
With one man killing himself every 20 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
Men living in small towns and rural areas have particularly high rates of suicide. Indeed, flyover states such as Wyoming, Montana, New Mexico and Utah have the highest rates of suicide in the country, and Alaska also has very high rates. This has been attributed to various factors. One factor is the massive decline in traditional male industries, such as manufacturing, forestry, and fisheries, leaving large swaths of men in certain regions unemployed or underemployed. Very high rates have been observed in veterans, young American Indians, African Americans, and gay men. A common factor among these groups may be perceived or real rejection from mainstream society, leading to strong feelings of alienation and isolation. These factors are explored in the poignant video below about low-income men struggling after divorce. I'm not going into the video. I'm just going to say there was somebody was cutting onions in the room. I was not happy. Substance use is a predominantly male problem, occurring at a rate of 3 to 1 in comparison to females.
Wow.
Substance abuse is sometimes referred to as slow motion suicide, given that it can often end in a premature death for the person concerned. Research indicates that many men engage in substance abuse in response to stressful life transitions, including unemployment and divorce. We keep going back to divorce. Indeed, almost 50% of marriages end in divorce. Many men report negative experience in family courts, with data suggesting that only about 1 in 6 men have custody of their children. We talked about that. We talked about someone going back into a relationship simply because he could not take being apart from his only child, often with minimal visitation rights. This separation and loss can be soul destroying for the men concerned, again, leaving them isolated and alienated from mainstream society. As such, substance abuse may be a maladaptive response to a malevolent situation. Mental health service utilization, and this is where we talk about shame over.
Shame over.
Evidence suggests that men are significantly less likely to use mental health services in response to mental health issues in comparison with women. This is especially so for Black, Latino, and Asian men who have much lower utilization rates than white men, as well as women in general. Men who are suicidal or have substance abuse problems are much more likely to suffer in silence, especially minority men. This is often attributed to the stubbornness in men, ego, rooted in traditional American notions of masculinity that emphasize true grit, doggedness. However, another explanation is that formal mental services are not finely attuned to men's needs, especially minority men. These services tend to emphasize medication or talk therapy, but research suggests that men prefer action over words in the face of stressful situations. This may explain the growing popularity of practical interventions such as men sheds, man caves. These are physical spaces where isolated and lonely men can gather together for practical activities such as woodwork and repair, while receiving valuable peer support in the process. What can be done to improve men's mental health? Firstly, men's mental health should be recognized as a social issue.
Okay.
As much as a health issue. There should be more choice in the formal mental health system with more male-tailored options. Health departments at the various levels of government should create specific strategies to improve men's mental health with the setting of targets and goals based on research. Okay, I'm all about the government minding their own damn business. That's just
That's it.
If I got mental health issues, I don't need the government involved. Especially like me. Because it'll be like, look, we about to put you in one of these little special rooms over here with a hug me jacket.
Can I bedazzle my jacket?
And look, as long as
And
they
get
give
me a little hat?
Yeah.
A little troll hat?
No, you gotta have a helmet.
Wow.
Well, first of all, man caves aren't all bad now. We gonna go ahead and get that out the way. We can't just go ahead and say man caves are bad.
Okay, no, not all man caves are bad. Some are actually kind of sexy.
You gotta have
I'm,
a man cave.
you gotta have your little man space. But these are talking about the ones where it is where the men come together.
Isolate.
Yeah, well, this is no. These are talking about where men come together. I think is what it said. They come together and they do things like woodwork and repairs while receiving valuable peer support in the process.
Okay.
So not necessarily a traditional
Man.
man cave, not like your little space out in the garage or down in the basement that you done converted to the little, yeah, and no women allowed. We're gonna play football, drink beer, and be gross. No, that's not what they're talking about. Not what we're talking about.
Don't steal my man cave.
Eh.
Still a man cave,
Don't
man.
steal my man cave.
Okay.
Well, I'm single, so I have a complete man cave, every square inch.
So you and Steve both are on that page then.
Yeah,
Look, says DJ Mo Hype. Says DJ Mo Hype. So yeah.
Well, I was really excited about this topic, men's mental health, for the reason that being more mature, not in my 20s and 30s anymore, you run into a lot of men that are single, divorced, separated, and it becomes tragic for the family. It's tragic for the children. It's tragic for the woman. But you know, we tough. You know, it's just something hey, we handle it, and that's the wrong attitude. But a lot of times I see a lot of people I come in contact with are separated or divorced, and they never healed. And so they cannot enter into a new relationship because they're bringing all the hurt and pain and drama from the previous relationship
Or they do enter a new relationship and they bring all that crap with them.
with them. Right. And so, man to man, a lot of times we don't discuss it. Me and Steve, we get together, we tough, and we go to the bar and we hang out. But we never, right? We never say, hey man, are you okay?
This is true. That's the way it goes down.
And that
Interactions are just they're not emotional, they're not touchy-feely.
Right.
It's very, we have our own language that involves very few words, but we know exactly what each other's talking about, but we never get into the wordy part of communication, which is like you said, saying, hey, bruh, are you all right?
Right.
I mean, and even if it's one of your good friends, you know that your good friend has gone through something, but as long as he has not expressed any discomfort about it, you know that your boy just went through the worst divorce in his life.
Right.
A woman he's been with for 20 years.
Yeah.
But as long as y'all can go to the club and smack some booties and he seems okay, we think it's okay. But we never just pull him to the side, bro, I know that had to be rough.
Right.
Let's talk about
And
it.
you know what? That's monumental.
Yes.
That's the part that's monumental, because the video that Kenyatta posted I think it was from Black Ink, the series
Yes.
Black Ink,
From the series Black
where
I don't watch that.
it was a couple of the guys. It was one of the tattoo artists was really dealing with whatever it is he was dealing with, but two of the guys from the shop took it upon themselves. One came and just basically just embraced him and was like, look, you're not by yourself with the situation. We got you. I'm here. And so is the other guy. And when that guy left, the other one came, and it was like basically a shift change. A passing
What
of the
he
guard.
said, and I think maybe the guy maybe had been talking suicidal or something.
And PTSD
Because
and all that,
when the second guy came in, he said, I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving your side.
Right,
I'm gonna help you through this. I'm not leaving your side.
right.
So it was just like, okay, we about to, but we can do that for each other.
Right.
Right.
And it not be a word exchange. But what I thought was cool was the young lady, his I guess I don't know if that was his
His
partner or whatever, whoever, but it was like she stepped back and she allowed those men
Right.
to
do
give
what he
him
did,
what
what
he
he
needed.
Right.
And that is where, because we as women, when it come down to you guys, we tend to try to be fixers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, she did not step in.
Nope.
She allowed them to have those moments. And I commended her
Right.
for allowing him to have that male support that he
Yeah,
needed.
you need it.
And yes, he was, trying to be all hard and stuff
Well, yeah, I
initially,
mean, and that's gonna be an almost natural response, because even if you do have friends like that that recognize, that something's going on, or that, hey, you need some support, brother, we're still gonna kind of be like, no, man, I'm all right, man, I don't need nothing, dog.
Right.
I'm cool, man, I'm cool.
Yep, tears and
So,
stuff.
yeah.
You're red, but you're like, hey, dog, I'm straight.
Right.
Let me tell you something. As a woman, I'm sitting there and I am torn between, when you like, no, I'm good. No. I'm sitting there torn between, let me comfort you and hold you in any way that I can to help you through this. And knocking you the hell out, because why the hell you gonna say some bullshit like that in the first place? I'm looking at you, fool. Get over here. Let's talk about this.
I'm glad you said that, because I want to touch on that subject, because it's difficult for a woman when you're in a relationship. You need to be. You're everything. You're his everything.
Mhm.
And so
His therapist.
it's a difficult dynamic when you're when you're a man, because as men, real men, we talked about this. I don't know who was on there. I think we talked about it, but talk about how real men, their fear is fear. Everybody fear heights or snakes or whatever, blah 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 blah. But real men have two fears: not being able to provide and not being able to protect. Those are the two fears that real men have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't figure out a way to protect and provide, that hurts deep. And when you're in a situation where your job may be sketchy, or whatever dynamic or situation, and you come home and you in front of your significant other, and you in the dumps, and at that point he doesn't need a significant other. He needs his mama, which is your significant other. She needs to be mama now. And I understand it's really difficult when she holds him and encourages him, lifts him back up. But now tomorrow, he got the promotion, he's a provider, he's a protector, now he's a man. Now, it's a difficult situation. And I'm speaking on a personal experience, because when I was married, I got a business, and I lost my business. And I was like, I saw everything. I saw houses, cars, kids. I saw everything gone. I just like, this is the end. It's over. And I'm like, I gotta do something, and I'm struggling. And I come home, and I'm like, she knows something wrong. And I voice it. And her response was the reason why I'm divorced. Her response was, this marriage isn't working because there's two bitches in it.
Whoa.
Wow.
So things like that keep us from opening up, because when we open up emotionally, and a dagger is thrown in, then that hurts.
Heck yeah. Look, that hurt me when you said it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Look, that was kind of, yeah,
Like,
that
wait,
was
the
kind
fighting
of,
word.
that
Wait a
was, yeah,
minute.
that was kind of,
I got
that was
you beat.
kind of
Hold on
rough.
now.
That's kind of
But
rough.
you have to, it's different. I understand the difficulty for a woman because you got to sit here and you got to encourage him and you got to lift him back up. And then tomorrow, when he's back up, he's the king. Now you got to have respect for him.
Well, see, I don't lose respect just because you have an emotional moment.
Right. See,
And-
that's our fear. That's why we don't. That's why men don't open up a lot of times to our significant other or other men because we see it as a weakness.
Gotcha.
So that's
But I'm stuck on that statement where she said that, we got two bitches in this relationship. Now, I'm not knocking whoever you were with at the time, but I am
Right.
knocking who you were with at the time because when you are dealing with your emotional stuff, not all men are, like I talked about earlier, the ones that go and have to hit a wall.
right.
Some guys actually internalize.
Right.
Some actually will go ahead and say, "Look, you know what? I'm feeling some kind of way right now.
Right.
Let's talk about this thing. Let's process through this thing because where we are right now, where I am right now emotionally, it's not really the best place for me.
Right. Right.
But that doesn't make you a bitch because you aren't."
Well, that was that opinion.
Was that statement because of the way you were responding to what was going on, or just because of the fact that you weren't providing anymore, or you let things crumble, or she perceived that you let things crumble?
That's basically, that's what it was. I really don't.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I really don't
It
know.
was probably all
because
of
I
the
was
above.
out.
Yeah,
At
and it
that
probably
point,
was
I
all
Like
of
you
that.
just kind of it was like at that point it
At that
really didn't
point,
matter what
it
else
really
was
didn't
said.
matter.
Okay.
Right. It really didn't matter what else was said at that point, and
And understandably
obviously it
so.
didn't crumble because I'm still here.
Yeah, of course, of course.
It was just a moment.
Yeah.
I was in a similar.
But when you
situation,
take, when
yeah,
you,
so.
I mean, when you take, when you take risks and you take chances, you start businesses and you do things on your own, and you no risk, no reward.
Mhm.
It's yeah. But it takes a lot of it takes a lot of courage
It does.
to step out and take your I guess you could say your security blanket of employment
Right.
and your money, your financial whatever I can't think of
Yeah,
the technical term, but
it's
to
scary.
take your financial future out of
Mhm.
someone else's hands.
And that's
Right.
That
It's
takes
scary.
really, really, really
it's so
big gonads.
scary.
You can have no gonads, but you have them if you do that.
I mean, I'm just scared of
One
holding
is a grande.
Right.
a lot of times.
I've been scared a whole lot myself. I mean, I had and my situation, I guess, was similar, although not as violent and evil, but I was kind of still given an ultimatum. Basically, you got X amount of time to either make this BS you doing working, or you gonna go get a real job. I don't care if it's picking up dog poop. You gonna do something other than this mess you doing. I knew right then it was over because it was just like you can't put a time limit on what I'm doing, and I'm not gonna work under duress. Where I feel like every day I gotta make, I gotta come and prove to you that something is happening. That's not the way this is going to work. So
Okay, and then listening to y'all, 2 meanings have come to mind. As you know, my brain. It's either memes or music. A wise woman knows the importance of speaking life into her man. If you love him, believe in him, encourage him,
Right.
and God Almighty, the most important one, be his peace. The other one, now see, and that one for me is huge because I'm tough by nature. Just a little bit. But if you are down, I'm getting ready to do everything in my power
To lift you up.
to lift you up, to feed into you, to support you, to encourage you, but most doggone importantly, to be your damn peace. Because if you got the whole damn world against you,
Right.
I should be that sanctuary. I should be your significant other, your wife,
Right.
that should be
That should, yeah.
your peace.
It should be.
It should be. But see, you know, in her defense, the whole situation is not her fault. It's my fault.
Okay, I need you to explain that.
Yeah. Before I read this other meme, I
I need you to explain that.
Because-
while I'm drinking my, I'm getting that way.
Because when you pursue as a man, you pursue a woman, and there's things in her character, and she's not on the same page, and you continue to pursue her because it's a big butt and a smile or whatever the case may be.
Not a,
Hey,
not a Coke and
look,
a smile, but a
right.
big
I'm gonna
one.
need you to find another reference. I'm gonna need you to find another reference.
Nah, that's a good.
That's a perfect reference, because if I had it, baby,
Look here.
if I, look, I've been telling you that for years.
Look.
If I had it, see,
Yeah.
God knew not to give me her shape, because I would be vain as hell.
You take it.
I would, man, you, what, man? Whew.
Anywho,
But you know, I say it's my fault because when you have certain goals and you have certain a place that you want to be in life, and you got somebody that you're pursuing and they're not on that same page, you have to be man enough to cut the pursuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you still continue to pursue something that's not beneficial, you know you got to climb a mountain and you need a Jeep, but you study trying to finance
You got
a
a Pinto.
Corvette.
This is true. I mean, because if you know that you are in chasing money mode,
Right.
and you're pursuing some chick and all she got is Gucci and Balenciaga on the mind, you know you're not going to be able to help her.
You carry,
because
you carrying extra baggage.
But
Yeah.
who wants to? But why would you want a gold digger anyway? Wouldn't you want a gold digger instead of a gold?
it may
digger?
not even be that she's a gold digger. It may be that she's just already advanced beyond
Right.
where I am.
Because we're always. I had this conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. It doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. We're branches on a tree, and we're growing. You're growing east, and I'm growing west. In order for us to be together, somebody got to stop growing. So, in order for us to continue to grow, you may need to go east, and I may need to go west. Doesn't make any one of us, doesn't make me wrong, doesn't make you wrong.
You just growing
Just
in
make
different
us grow in
directions.
different
Yeah,
directions.
just growing in different directions. So, yeah, and you like you said, you have to be able to recognize that she just doesn't have the same goals, values, or even in the same place, as me. And then, and back to your point, the last point that you made with being a man's peace and being there and having his back. I'm assuming that goes into the part of that psyche goes into knowing that you have a true king who might be going through and not like I call him a PlayStation Negro.
Yeah. A lot of them.
okay, look, let me tell you something.
No, didn't we just sit here and talk about gaming?
A lot of them.
It's not my show. It's not my show. Anyway,
Whose show is it?
it's men's speak. It's okay. A real woman is a freak in the bed, a chef in the kitchen, a therapist during hard times, and a coach when you're off your game. That right there,
That's,
I believe it.
man.
I live
That's
by,
some deep
I
stuff
live
right
by, a warrior's code, and there are, certain principles or whatever that go along with that.
Right.
But as a woman, this is what I live by in a relationship.
Mm.
If this is not, if I can't be this for you in a relationship, if there's a disconnect,
Right.
and this is not the relationship we need to be in. This is not where we need to be.
I agree totally, because focus, there was something I read years ago. It says focus. It says follow one course until successful. If you think about that in the sense of your GPS, you got GPS going from one direction to the next, to your destination. And if you keep changing courses, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go this way. Oh no, I'm gonna go that way. Oh no, I'm gonna go this way. How long is it gonna take you to get to your destination?
A lot longer.
Right. Versus following one course. Even if it's the long way, if you stay on course, you're still gonna get there. Even if it's the longest route. So if you have a mate that is going
That's
to
it.
keep you on course when you get off course, and you got a mate that can bring you back on course, show you, hey, this is detrimental to our goals. This behavior isn't going to work towards where we want to be.
That.
You know, whether it's emotional behavior,
Whatever kind of behavior.
whatever kind of behavior. If it's not working, if it's detrimental to our goals, and she points that out, that's a woman. Sometimes what we need doesn't always look like what we
What we
want.
want. Look here. Because you're going to be chasing that little bitty size 6. Running around in the stilettos. They're going to be chasing that little bitty size 6 and running around in the stilettos. But it's that plus size diva that's going to hold you down.
Well, I mean, at least make it a size 12.
And
The
in
size
his
6
case-
need to eat.
Yeah,
Shut up.
who wants a size 6?
Size 6. Hey, you want them to feed them.
Yeah, I ain't nobody looking for no size
Well,
6.
size 6,
but you know,
what? A size 6 can't cook.
See, okay.
Could
Okay,
just have a hot metabolism.
I'm gonna stop.
Or
But
you
you a
run
size
around.
6.
You run around
Oh
chasing.
no, I'm a good size.
See, that's a good size. That's a good
I'm a
size.
good yeah.
But I mean, and that's just, you know, and that's actually me picking at him, but you.
I know. I know.
So Steve showed me a meme, and it is, I've been there. And it's a meme, and it's this man, and he's sitting there, and he's crouched down in a ball. It's raining, and and he's just, done.
Mhm.
And this woman, and it's just raining over the top of him now. It's not raining nowhere else. It's raining over the top of him. And she comes, and she's holding the umbrella over him, and she says, "Get your ass up. I got you."
I saw it.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
Get up. I got you. Because there are going to come times in our life, if we are in this together, if we are supposed to be a team, if we are a united front, yeah, you may be used to being the breadwinner, and you used to bringing home all this money, and this happens, and and you used to sitting high on the damn hog. But guess what? This thing called life is going to, on occasion, knock you on your ass. So then if you got a good woman, if you got a solid woman, she's going to be like, okay, I see you. I'm going to let you go through. I'm going to let you handle that. I'm going to let you deal with your emotions. And when you're done, get your ass up. I got you. Let's go out here and do this together.
Yeah, when I saw that was powerful.
Yes.
I was like, that's the kind of like it says at the top caption. That's the kind of woman you want in your life.
Yeah.
Because you need to have someone. We can't always be, on top of everything because of life.
Right.
Life happens. We're not always gonna be number one. We're not always gonna be on top.
Right.
So sometimes we're gonna need to have somebody that's got our back, that truly has our back,
Right.
and that is going to help us along, with whatever issues we got going on. It's just like this other meme, and you want to have, in a true partnership, you want to have a good woman like that. You know what I'm saying? Just like I saw this one meme, and they named a couple people, I can't remember who, but basically it was kind of like, you know, Nino killed G Money, but Bonnie never turned on Clyde.
Yeah, I saw. You know what? I saw that the other day.
Nah, baby.
I saw that the other day.
Yeah,
I was like,
talking about Juice and everybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
Bonnie never turns on Clyde to the
Never.
end.
Yep.
She was like, I got you to the end.
Mhm.
So, but that's that's the truth of it. Yes. Okay.
I think in all of it is, I thought about what can we accomplish by having a podcast about men's emotional health. And I pondered on that. Well, I drive trucks, so I got
All day to think.
all this alone time.
Just thinking.
Right. And so I'm like, what can we accomplish? Okay, we not Steve Harvey, so we can't have no Dr. Juice and nobody else on the side.
except no Dr. Juice.
Yeah.
We have a
And
therapist.
so, well, yes, we do.
We have a therapist.
So, but I thought.
And hold on. We have a therapist on deck. She is connected to us. She is a part of us. So if there are men out there, if there is someone listening, if there is someone who is in need of help and who just doesn't know where to turn, feel free to contact this thing called Life or catch us on our KD page, and we will connect you with the therapist. And if she can't help you, she's going to direct you to someone who can.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all ain't funny because now we can't see her. Y'all ain't funny.
Oh, she did it. It's your sister. So,
Hold on.
I was thinking.
Well, we're going to pause.
Oh, we pausing?
We're going to pause for just a second. So we're going to take a quick break. Yes. We're going to take a quick break.
Yes.
And when we come back, we're going to let Tyler talk about what he feels is going to be, the best way to handle this particular a cast about men's health and what we can do and what we're going to get out of it. So give us
Maybe
a
he
second.
can keep Steve from just internalizing everything.
And being afraid of the women. Look at
Oh.
the violent gaming women.
And if you want to call in, the number is 317-606-2777. 317-606-2777. So give us a buzz if you have something that you need to say.
We'll be back.
Pasta.
Pasta.
Pasta? Y'all know I'm hungry.
Who's got pasta?
No,
Oh.
nobody.
Keep on. Go ahead. I'm
Network
good.
connection.
Yeah, you just have to go ahead and connect to the Wi-Fi.
Oh.
But yeah, so what we got going on here? How long is our station? Look, our break.
Yeah, we'll be
About tomorrow, 6 minutes.
Woo! Won't need that long. Oh, we're done.
Because you need to connect and stuff.
Yeah, there's the Wi-Fi right there. So there's the information right there. No, wrong one. Cancel. That one right there is the password.
PW, capital.
Not the PW part. That's
That was-
yeah, we're sitting here. Look, I'm sorry, you all. He doesn't have the music up, and we're just sitting up here handling the business of what we're doing. I'm sorry. but we'll be right back with you all in 2.2.
You love your 2.2, your 3.4. You love your
Yes, I
parents.
don't look. Yes, I do. I don't know why, but I definitely do. Where is this? Is that it?
I
Yeah.
don't know. You gonna hit connect. It's either gonna connect
Or it's
it's
not.
There's only two choices.
Right. But so as far as men and their emotional health, what do you all feel would be the what can we as women do to help the guys feel comfortable with expressing themselves? Because there are so many different, I guess you could say, situations, scenarios, or whatever the case may be that are put in place. When it comes down to, because we are instrumental when it comes down to a lot of what you guys, how you guys feel about stuff. We do play a big role.
Well, I think it's just acceptance. Just acceptance. I mean, just creating an environment of open to be open. Because
Okay.
that's one thing I didn't feel when I was married. I
Okay.
didn't feel open. I didn't feel like I
Be
wasn't
free.
comfortable sharing everything. There were some things I had to hold in.
And
That would be, yeah, that would be,
that
yeah.
is absolutely right.
So if you feel like, a lot of times as men, we feel like there's some things we got to hold in and we got to, we got to, we got to figure it out on our own. And we don't always have the answer. And so when you hold something in and you don't have the answer,
Then you waiting on it's like a volcano just waiting to
just
erupt.
wait till it erupt. Right?
So what can we as women do?
Just create an environment. Just create an environment. Okay. Men are
I mean, move so people can make sure they
Yeah,
see
like-
you as you give this, as you drop this nugget.
You know how you have a child and you have a child that learn to talk and they learn to speak, and that child, the child says, shit or damn, and you, as a mother, you try not to react because you know if you react, that child will continue to say that profanity in order to get a reaction.
Response, yeah.
Okay. Men are just the opposite of that. Childlike. So I come to you with a situation or I'm in my feelings, I'm in my emotions. And you like, what? What's wrong with you?
Then he
Okay,
shuts
now we
down.
shut down because we don't ever want that response again. We don't ever want that negative response. So now we shut down and we begin to internalize a lot of things. And now the volcano is starting to build. So versus a woman that can, in her mind, she may be thinking, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. But she did not verbalize it.
Nope.
She didn't react to it.
Nope.
And she got him back focused, back on track.
Yep.
Then he may come to her later like, well, when I talked to you yesterday, that was crazy. And you'd be like, yeah, it was. But you gotta let him come to that. But you can't have that reaction.
We can't be reactionary.
Right. Right. And so when you create that environment of openness, I can come to you you can come to me with anything, no matter how stupid it is. When you create that environment, that's huge.
And I think that in and of itself is important. And I mean, and when you decide to enter into a relationship, you need to go into, into a serious relationship.
Right.
When you decide to enter into a serious relationship, you have to go into it with that mindset of, you know, being the coach, being the supporter, being the, okay. Now my issue is, I cannot react all I want to. My tone will be just as straightforward, the whole nine. However, my face does not have an inside voice.
I like that term.
So when you are doing something and you're saying something, I may not say a word to you.
But your face is saying everything that needs to be said.
You can be like, "That's not a bright idea, is it?" And I'll be like, "Well, babe, let's talk about this. Let's think about this. Let's work through this." Or, "What do you really think about that, babe?" You know?
Yeah.
But that's, like I said, my face has no inside voice.
So it's a matter of processing through it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then again, that goes with knowing your mate and picking
Right.
the right mate.
Right.
See, a lot of us, we picked our mate when we weren't mature.
Okay, can you say that again?
We picked our mate when we wasn't mature.
Mature.
That's why I don't blame my ex for a lot of things, because first of all, it's the man's role to pursue.
Mhm.
And so when we pursue and we pick and um, then we mature and we bypassed a whole lot of crap that we saw some stuff, but once again.
Okay, for those of you who are listening on the radio, the conversation did continue on the actual broadcast. Tiger touched on a couple of really key points, and I think one, I made the comment about making sure that when you go into a relationship, when you're going into a serious relationship, when you're going into a relationship where it's not just a fling, you have to go in with the mindset of I am here. We talked about it talked about being a coach and a therapist and and all of those things, and you have to go in with the mindset of doing those things. Tiger then made the statement that when he chose that particular mate, as opposed to where he is now and being a mature man, it makes all the difference in the world. And so sometimes I think that we get into these relationships with these partners, and and our partner isn't prepared to be supportive.
Right.
And and it's just like they're like, "Well, what is wrong with you? Why are you acting like that?" And this and that and the other, rather than listening and processing and helping, because as he said, you picked that particular partner when you were of a less mature
State.
mindset, a less mature state of being. Fewer numbers on your years, a lot less seasoning, and a lot less wisdom.
Right.
So you've tied yourself to to this person. Stop it. You've tied yourself to this person, and and this person is not who and or what it is that you actually end up needing to be your emotional support, to be that coach, to be that therapist, to feed into you, to pray over you, to have your back, and to, if necessarily, pull your damn coattails.
And that's the issue that a lot of men have when we do pull their coattails. I mean,
I'm not great. I try not to pull.
It's a way.
coattails.
It's a way to do it, and it's a way not to.
I'm just saying,
know?
old
Yeah.
and young,
It's
but
a
a lot
way
of times,
to do it.
men, there are so many men
Right.
who have mental blocks when it comes down to being receptive of hearing things from a woman.
Well,
Yes.
I think
And it's not, I'm not dealing with age, I'm not
Right.
dealing with race, I'm not dealing with religion. I'm talking about there are, but then again, I could go into the age aspect of things
Right.
because a lot of older men
Hmm.
really have that issue. And then the generation up under them, they tend to be they tend to hear a little bit more, but then for some ungodly reason, after our generation, it's like the generations nowadays,
What happened?
right, you
Well,
can't tell them diddly wah crap.
The whole dynamic changed. Hey sis, it's my sister, Connie.
Hey, Miss Connie.
So, see the dynamic change. When we start, okay, if we go back to our fathers and our mothers, my father met my mom when he was 8 years old.
Oh,
They was married for 47 years. They was together over 60.
oh.
That's phenomenal.
So, but see the dynamic changed because my father never had to be. He had his role. He was the breadwinner. He was the provider, the protector. He was the disciplinarian. Mom was the nurturer. She maintained the house. She was the emotional support system. So she had her distinct role. He had his distinct role.
And you all had that balance.
And we had the balance. But as times have changed, divorce is on the rise. More single parents. Not only single moms, but single dads. So now as a single parent, single mom, or single dad, it doesn't matter. You've got to be both sides of the coin. And so now you have to be in touch. See, it would have been nice for my father, and he was in touch with his emotions to a certain extent. But it wasn't imperative that he was in touch with his emotions.
Gotcha.
And so now, speaking as the time period that I went through when I was a single parent, I had to be mom and dad. And I had girls. So emotions was like air. It was all over the place. So it's a different, as we evolved as a people, we have to be in touch with our emotions in order to have the balance to raise other people. And so I think the whole key to it is like what we were talking about when we touched on it before, when we was talking about, this is not Steve Harvey, we're not going to reach the masses and we're not going to change the world. But the people that we do come in contact with, we just need to say, just be open.
Right.
If the men could just be open with each other.
Right.
Just like G last week when we was on the show. And G says, hey, this dude, I could love this dude. And just the fact that you can use the word love with another heterosexual male
Right.
has nothing to do with homosexuality. Is that you can use
A brother supporting a
a
brother.
brother supporting a brother.
We talked about that. We talked about that on the way in. Because we talked about, a lot of men see being a strong man
Right.
as, I'm being stoic. I'm never going to show any emotion other than anger, and that's when I lose control. But I'm never going to show any other emotion because I got to be hard all the time. Whereas I know that my sister feels that a strong man is a man that, he's like, yeah, I'm a man. I'm a human being. I'm a human being. I am a human being with emotions.
With emotions.
And I can show you that I can be vulnerable.
Right.
I can show you that, and that doesn't make me any less of a man. And I believe that, the men who can show you that they can be vulnerable, the men who can share with you what is going on with them. I'm anxious. I'm nervous. I'm mourning someone, or, those types of emotions. Those are the strong men. I think the men who feel like I have to be this brick wall all the damn time, to me, in my eyes, those are the weak ones.
Well, I can agree to a certain extent. No, I can agree, but at the same time, it could be the situation, the environment that they grew up in, or if you grew up in South Side of Chicago, or Gary, Indiana, of all places, amazing. But if you grew up in that environment where you can't show weakness, that's kind of what you develop that, because I can't show a weakness, because if I show a weakness, I'm gonna get robbed, I'm gonna get beat down. So
I'm not a fool in the street who's trying to take from you, whether it's your money, whether it's your livelihood, whether it's your life. I'm not trying to take from you. So if you can't be yourself, if you can't be vulnerable, if you can't be open, if you cannot show me what is inside you, if you can't do that with nobody else, that's a weakness. That's not strength.
it is.
That's not strength.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying why some people might be in that situation. I mean, if you're around drugs, dope, if you're around that lifestyle,
Yeah.
robbing, stealing, killing all the time, then you're on guard all the time, and so you never have an opportunity to experience different emotions. It's like I told you before, I had serious anger issues that my mom helped me deal with, and it was just dealing with the emotion. What are you really feeling? Because as men, whatever emotion comes in on this side, anger comes out on that side.
And that was very interesting when you used that analogy.
But my mom's like, what are you really feeling? No, I'm mad. No, you're not. What are you really feeling? Identify that emotion, because if you identify the emotion that you're feeling, then you can deal with it adequately, versus just dealing with it all as anger.
And maybe even deal with the root cause of
Right.
why you feel the
can
way
get
you
to
feel.
it. And sometimes you just feel.
And guess what? That is okay.
It's okay.
Okay, is somebody listening? That is okay. It is okay for you to have an emotion other than anger. It's okay. I'm sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
And I'm so glad that you did. Now, what was the next point on your
What was that?
on the
No, I'm
psychology?
No, what were you going to say?
No, I was just reading what my sister wrote.
What did
I
she
was
say?
going to it too, we could
What'd
see
she say?
it.
How come I can't see it? Wait a minute.
It's on his personal live feed.
Oh. Okay, well, what'd she say?
She said, if I can, okay. Our black men have to be tough in them streets. Their home is a sanctuary where they should be able to let go. I have found that some women don't want that vulnerability. And that's the sad part. That's sad. And then Jeanette said, my intelligent and in touch brother. And then Connie said,
Hello, brother dear."
brother dear. So, but that's, I mean, she's exactly right. She's exactly right.
But we just need to get back to the thing that we need to, as other men, we need to get to a situation or a point where we can just create an environment so other men can feel.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in itself
Yeah.
is a crucial.
It's like, hey, bro, it's okay. I know, your mom passed. I know that, you didn't see yourself in a divorce. I know you didn't see your son going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And just allowing them to feel. One thing I always told my children growing up was your feelings are never wrong. It's what you do with them that makes them right or wrong.
Right.
But, you know, you can be mad. You can be mad at me. You can be mad at anybody. There's nothing wrong with that. But how you react to your feelings, that's what makes them right or wrong.
Okay.
But one thing I still want to get back to that other point,
Go ahead.
because I'm just dealing with divorce and separation, and if I could just scream one thing to like our men, it's like when you go through that situation, whether you left her or whether you wanted her to leave or whether she left you or whether y'all did it amicably, however you say that. And however you handle that situation, it's still a situation that you need to heal from. And you need to talk to somebody.
Right.
Right.
Because we just internalize it. We get these divorces and separation, and we get all these feelings and we got all these emotions, and we just pack them in this little box and put them in this corner, and then we get into a new relationship, and all of a sudden stuff starts creeping out that box. And you can't figure out why you found this new good woman, and you didn't.
But you still going through the same shit.
Right. Because you brought those spirits into you brought the old spirits into your new relationship.
Boy, look, he needs to be. Ooh, that's see, we got an upcoming show, and that's the sisterhood segment. That's actually what we're part of what we're gonna be hitting on, and it's so funny that you just kind of open that door.
Yes.
It's like that's
Sapphire,
why
if you're listening, you're up next.
might need to just turn that into just a straight out and out show and have both of them here.
Ooh. Yes.
Oh, y'all
I
set
love
me
that.
up with somebody?
No, we're not setting you up with anybody.
No, I'm not mean set me up like set me up. I mean like set me up with another host.
No, she would just be a guest, yeah.
What's you doing? Y'all lost power?
I don't know, we losing.
His
we
screen
losing,
just went
yeah,
dark all of a
anything
sudden for some
losing
reason.
power.
What you doing?
But plugging it up, but everything else is rolling full speed ahead.
Okay. I'm just, like I said, I think, okay, so then we have to work on we have to work on getting to a place where our men are comfortable saying, even to just one another. But that was the purpose in creating the crew. Because, there are no women in there except for the two of us. And we have purposefully kept it that way. And should some man in the crew decide they are willing to take it over, we will step out
We would
completely.
We would welcome that.
But it is one of those, the point of the crew is to talk to, support, and help one another. There are, I want to say 200 men in there.
Somewhere around
I
about.
want to say there are 200 men in there, and most days it's crickets. It's okay. I'm sorry. There are 115, and that includes me and Dee. So there are 113 men in there. And again, the whole point is supposed to be talking to one another, supporting one another. But the rare times that someone asks a question, or the rare times that someone throws out a comment, you get crickets.
Right.
Unless one of us responds, it's crickets.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be a safe place, a safe environment. Because we're not there to judge anybody.
And most of the guys are businessmen, and that's from the street hustler to the
To the
boardroom.
CEO.
Yeah.
So
Well, see, once again, when you start talking men and emotion in the same sentence, it equals weakness. And that's not a, I'm not saying that's a true statement. I'm saying that's what's the perceived statement. You know? So you have to, we got to change that narrative.
Mhm.
You know?
How do we do that?
And it's other men. We just have to do things like, you know, just like the way me and G communicate. We have to communicate along those lines. You got to open that door. You got to create. You know when you got a friend that's going through something.
Yeah.
You know that. And so what you have to do is you've got to create the environment that he feels comfortable. And then you got to give him space to talk. You know, like you have somebody that has a situation like my mom passed in 2013. And so I did before that. I really didn't understand when somebody else would lose a mom.
Man, you got my
I
condolences.
don't know what to. I didn't know what
No,
to say.
My condolences, man. Yeah.
You know, it's like, what do you say when somebody loses a parent? It's like, wow. But then after I went through that experience, now I know that everybody mourns differently.
True.
Everybody has their own reaction. So I just say to them simply that, you know, hey, I went through this at this point.
Right.
So I truly know how you feel.
And
then I shut up.
Right. And I tell, but I actually also tell, now this
They
is
want to
the,
talk, they can talk.
right, but I tell people, don't let anyone rush your process.
Right, because it's different.
Don't let, because you have people that after you leave the cemetery, that is like, okay, well, it's time to just kind of move on. Everything is over. Everything is done with. No, life is just starting. Once you leave the cemetery,
Because everybody's different.
life is actually just starting because now you have your new normal.
It didn't hit me until weeks later.
Right.
It was like I was fully functional going through the whole process, the funeral, everything, and the week after and everything, and then it's like 2 weeks later, it's like, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Once it all dies down,
Right.
once everybody leaves,
Right.
once everybody stops calling,
Right.
you know. Once
Yeah,
you're
you
not
still
having,
have some
yeah,
chicken.
once you're not,
Yeah.
you know, having to be on all the time because everybody's looking and everybody's calling and checking in and this and that and the other. Once it's quiet,
Right.
That's when the new normals really
Right.
sets in.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's when it sets in. Yeah. So, you know, and you know, and as we talk about men's emotional health, and we talk about how it is with, you know, us making sure that you all have I love the way sis put it, a safe place.
Yeah.
You know, how, you know, making sure that you have that safe place. We as women need to remember, I need to remember, a lot of times myself, that I'm dealing with all of what's going on in my head. But on the flip side of that coin, oh, my brother's joined the feed. On the flip side of that coin, we're looking at the fact that we need to step out of what we're feeling when you all are dealing with whatever it is you're dealing with, and you all are in that vulnerable place.
Right.
We have to step out of our headspace to open up our bosom so that you all will feel comfortable. Because I don't always make that adjustment. Because my sis will tell you, my head space, my head is always running.
Right.
I mean, always. You know.
See, when you hit that emotional. If I'm in my feelings, I'm in my emotional state. We both can't be emotional at the same time.
Right.
Um, there's a statement. My brother actually taught me this. He's like, always keep your eye over your E, and keep your intellect over your emotion.
Boy, you giving us some good posts to keep your eye over your E, which is basically keep your intellect over your emotion. Now, let me
Now,
go to your feed because
Sometimes that is not the sometimes as it's always not feasible.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you can't keep those emotions in check. But if we're a unit, if we're one, now you have to be the I over the E. But if we're both in the emotion, that's where we have the, you know. And then there's times where you've just got to let him feel, right or wrong, indifferent, it doesn't matter. Just let him feel.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you.
Let him feel.
I'm gonna let you have your
You know,
moment.
one of the things that I used to hate when I was married
oh,
was
you got some great comments
Mhm.
and a couple questions. But go ahead.
one thing I used to hate when I was married is, I'd be like, Key, I don't like the way you set the table and you put the food on the table and food be cold by the time we eat. And then you come back with, well, I don't like the way when you go to the bathroom, you don't put your clothes in the hamper. Okay, that back and forth has to stop.
Yeah, the nitpicking.
Right. It's the tit for tat. It's like, you know what? If you complaining, okay, it's your day to complain. I'm gonna let you complain all day. Now tomorrow my day. I got some stuff, but I'm gonna hold on to it till tomorrow.
So I'm
And-
gonna let you get what you got.
Right.
I'm gonna let
So,
you have your moment.
I'm gonna let you have your emotional moment.
Mhm.
You can be emotional right now. I'm gonna be the I over the E. And tomorrow you can be the E, and I'll be the I.
Okay.
Okay,
Let's see
so
these comments.
yes, it's like you had a Yuri
Yes. that's
said
my
hi,
first
cuz
cousin.
love you.
Yeah.
Connie says divorce the spouse, not the children.
Mm.
Um,
She knows. That's my sister.
yes, Brittany says, hey uncle, but then she also says, auntie, I see you on, oh, she's talking to your sister. Brittany said it hits her every day.
Yeah.
My brother asked, does grief from men normally hit weeks later? He's like, I can relate to his position because with our mom,
Right.
it hit him,
We,
you know,
Later.
and even with our father, yeah. And then Yuri says, I lost my mom in 2010,
Right, yeah.
and you were there for me, and it was great because I look up to you. For some men, it's hard for them to open up because they've been hurt for so long, and they build a wall.
Her mom, that was my heart there. She was the youngest auntie, so, and I was the oldest grandchild, so we was
Oh, yeah.
kinda-
You all were right there together.
Yeah. So that was the one.
Auntie slash big sister.
Yeah, she took some secrets to the grave.
But you know what? That's awesome.
I ain't telling.
I ain't know.
That is awesome.
I don't know about grief. I deal with grief differently, I think. My mother passed recently, a couple years ago. It's been 3 years now. Wow.
Time flies.
And when I got the call, I was at home by myself. I was actually supposed to be I normally would have been at work that morning, like early in the morning.
Right.
But the group that I was driving like one of them community buses for seniors. So that particular day just happened to be movie day. So we weren't picking up until it was movie time. So
Okay.
I was at home, and that's when the call came in. Because I thought about it after, like, man, what if I would have been on the bus? driving when I got that call, because that's normally where I would have been on a regular day.
Right.
Right.
But when I hung up the phone with my sister, because she was just screaming, I just sat there like all day. Because my sister, of course, she rounded up her kids. They jumped on the highway to run up to Gary. And then everybody kept calling me, and I stopped answering the phone. I couldn't move. I was just stuck there. And I didn't really have any emotion, honestly. I was stunned. I was shocked. I was upset.
Yeah.
And I was angry for a long time. So, when I finally mustered up the strength to get up and actually go up there the next day, or it might have even been the day after that. And at this point, I still hadn't showed any emotion. And when I got there, everybody was just kind of sitting around. My sister was my younger sister, was the one I'm really close with. She was sitting on the floor by the living room closet. And I went in and sat on the floor next to her. And then it just happened. Just
The realization.
the realization of
things,
being there, and then it just
and the
happened.
reason you were there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of surreal. Now, my father died when I was a kid, some X number of years ago.
I like how we do that. I like how we do that.
And I really didn't even show any emotion then, and I love my father. I was the last one really to spend any quality time with him the night that he got killed. Because we went out, and that was the first day I ate a whole Whopper by myself. And he let me drive. He let me drive the pickup truck. Like I drove from around the front of the house to the back of the house. So all that stuff happened that day.
Wow.
For a long time, I was mad at myself because I thought I drove him out of. Because that day I also got y'all remember the recorder, the little.
Oh,
thing?
Yes.
I got my recorder that day, and I would not stop playing the recorder. And so I felt like he got up and went out and left the house because I wouldn't stop playing the recorder.
Oh wow.
So
That's a lot of weight to put on
That
yourself.
is,
Yeah.
But nobody ever knew any of this. I mean, even even the fact that when my mother even asked me, I was 9 at the time, and she actually gave me the choice. She was like, do you want to go to all the services or whatever, or do you want to just remember him the way he was? And I was like, I just kind of want to remember the way it was because I was the last one to really spend any time with him. And I actually went to school that day, and nobody knew anything was going on. Nobody had a clue that, any of this was going on. And I think it was probably about a month went by when I was at home by myself. Everybody left and went shopping. And I was at home by myself. And I just broke down. I started kicking stuff. I tore the whole house to pieces. So when they came back, they was like, "What in the world happened in here?" I think my mother kind of knew.
It finally
Because
registered.
I mean, I kicked a hole in my closet door, and I went from room to room just throwing stuff. And so when they came in, I was just kind of sitting on the floor. I think I was in my older sister's room sitting. And so I think, nothing ever happened of that because, in normal circumstances, that would have been
That would have been murder, death, kill. Yeah, that would have been a murder, death, kill moment. Yeah.
But even then, even like you said, as a 9-year-old, you compressed that and you made a bomb.
Yes.
That blew up. So I mean, maybe we're born with that
Maybe.
natural instinct to just compress whatever feeling that is,
That's just, I mean, that's now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, it is weird to think. I mean, because for the time I had my father, I felt, the manliness that I was getting, and I also had the nurturing from my mother. So I had both
Right.
sides. So I had a balance.
Right.
So technically would think there'd be no reason to
There'd be
do
no
that.
reason to do that.
You know, I had,
But it's a it's got to be a nature.
I mean, I
It's
had
natural.
healthy school life. I was, with all of the what they call academically able kids,
Right.
and so I mean everything was good. So there was no reason, that you would think there were no external influences
Right.
that would have driven me to that. I didn't see any abuse. I didn't see any crazy stuff going on.
We got like 8 minutes, so
Yeah, but
let me get personal. I'm gonna
Okay.
get personal. Go
Okay,
ahead.
no, I wanted to read this last comment from my brother. It says, I think that communication lines from men, leaders, and families aren't extended to younger generations like they should be, because they've made it through their adversities by themselves, or however they did, without the listening ears or guidance. It's a drop ball by our patriarchs and in our families sometimes. And he emphasized sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
But you were about to say,
Okay, so let me get personal, and you can turn it back on me. Okay, so at this point in your life, who do you have? I mean, who do you have? What do you? Because obviously now you're at a place now where you don't compress and push away and hide emotions and feelings, and
Hmm.
you don't bottle them up, and then this volcano explosion goes.
Yeah.
So I mean, who do you have now?
Right now, probably, I mean, the only person that I would really consider would probably be my little sister that I would actually talk to, and kind of open up. And she's the same way, with me. Our relationship has evolved over the years, because there was a time when I hated her. And
let's just be candid here.
but it was like we got into this huge fight one day, and then we just became best friends. Cause I like hemmed her up in the garage and like put her in a chokehold, and
Well, just express how you really felt.
yeah. Well, cause I heard her, she was actually in the house in the kitchen yelling and
Oh.
screaming at my mama.
Oh, okay. So you responded to her
Yeah,
coming at
so
mama
when-
wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
when she came out to the garage, getting ready to call herself ready to get in her car and leave with her little half top and her hoochie shorts on.
Right.
I called her every B and H in the book and grabbed her up and put her in a chokehold and slammed her to the ground. And yeah, my mom.
You went
actually
into
had to
big
come-
brother
Yeah,
mode.
my mama had to come out and get me off of her. And ever since then, we've been cool.
Heck no, wait a minute. After you tried to beat the stuffing out of her, now we good. We good
Now
now.
we
We
good.
good. We good now. We good. What about you?
Well, I went through. I have a best friend in Atlanta. Me and him, we always joke that I'm divorced, he's divorced. We always joke that, and we were in Saudi Arabia. I actually slept in the same tent for 7 months, 27 days. So we always joke that we've been through 4 wives, 5 dogs, and a war.
Oh, okay.
So, so yeah,
That's it.
he's always, it don't matter. We don't talk for months, but if he calls me, hey, I'm there.
Yeah.
I call him, he's there. But it takes something. I think it takes something that has to happen. Something has to happen, and somebody has to. Whether something happens tragic with me, and Steve says, "Hey, man, I know you're trying to be strong, bro, but hey, this ain't the time. What's going on with you?" Or vice versa. But it has to happen as men. We have got to. It's not on the hurt person or the person that's going through the situation. It's on the other person.
Right. Because if you're hurting,
You're not thinking
you're
right.
like, I'm in my
Right.
bubble. So and if you see somebody who's like, I'm in my bubble,
Right.
then you need to be trying to extend yourself and be like,
Yeah. And I have another friend in Charlotte. And he lost his parents when he was 17. and he basically was the man of the house. Sisters, I think 3 sisters, and they all got through college. They all have degrees, and he went through a lot. And I had something happen, and I was pissed off at my parents, and he just like he grabbed. He was a big dude too. He grabbed me around the neck, and he's like, "Dude, it's gonna come a time where you're gonna wish your parents could bother you."
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
"Yes, sir."
Right.
Because I can't beat you.
Right.
And he was just, he was
He
just.
told you right though.
He
He
just,
did.
and then he would always say, he was a big dude. He was like 5'11", but he was big. This dude was just, I think he was lifting weights before he was changing his diaper. And he was just a big dude, and he'd be like, he's like, "I'll see you later, man. Love you." All right, you too. But he just broke that ice. He just kept breaking it down to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
He
because
wasn't
and
gonna
that's
let you. He wasn't gonna let you
Right.
Kind of
be over there being weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
like the guys
yeah,
in that video.
And that's what we have to do to other people.
it really is. I mean,
So did you see the video that I posted?
No.
Or the guys with black ink?
no,
Okay, so
I'm gonna look at that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch that. Yeah.
Because I mean that's really what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, they saw that their brother was hurting. Their comrade was
You can't let
hurting.
them off the hook.
No. And so the one guy was just like, "I'm not leaving your side."
Right.
The other one's like, "We're here, we got you, you're not going through this alone. We got you, I love you, I'm grown men, we don't say that to each other, but I got you, I love
Right,
you."
right.
And then the other one is just like, whatever it is, I'm not leaving your side. I'm not leaving here, I'm not leaving your side.
Right.
So just the point of, because it wasn't necessarily that the guy who was hurting reached out.
Right.
Yeah.
But those two came and they were like, "Look."
They found out that he was in a vulnerable place emotionally.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Okay, you my brother.
I got
I'm not
you.
about to sit here and watch you
Yeah.
suffer
Nope.
and make you suffer alone."
Alone.
Yeah.
And
So-
see, and that's where I think a lot of people drop the ball.
Yeah, and men especially, because when some of those rules, I talk about rules that men have, a lot of unwritten rules I talked about at the beginning. That particular rule, we need to really kind of get around that, get over that. I mean, if you have a brother that you can help or you are there for, some of us have a problem saying, "Yo, bro, I love you." Yeah, love is that emotion that you feel for somebody that you really care for. It's okay to say that you love your brother.
Yeah.
Right.
There's nothing bad about that. It's nothing. That is not like the one rule that can never be undone, which is you don't go in the public bathroom and stand in the urinal right next to somebody that's already at the urinal. You got a space.
That rule can never be broken. You do not use the urinal beside the man.
No, you don't.
You don't use that.
We gotta, but some things need to be changed.
Some
And
things have
that,
to change,
That
yeah.
is one. They looking like we don't even know what you're talking
No,
about.
we understand.
You got to have the one urinal
Yeah.
space.
That's what. Look, it's just like making sure you have the bathroom that the door actually locks and it doesn't
Yeah.
come, easing back open. Like if. But public
I
bathrooms
was-
are a last resort for us.
I was
so.
trying to explain that to a friend of mine one day because she didn't understand. I was like, look, if you go in the bathroom, there's 3 urinals and there's somebody there and there's somebody in that last one, then you got to go in the stall. You can't use that middle one.
You can't use it. You got to wait. Yeah.
And if one person goes in and gets in the middle one, he's just a narcissist.
Yeah.
He's just selfish and evil.
Yeah.
So,
Because I've heard some funny stories about guys being in there and then somebody was trying to strike up a conversation.
Yeah, don't talk to me.
Like, what?
Now,
you serious
I
right
guarantee you right now, me and Steve walked in the bathroom. He take this urinal and I take that urinal, and we're having a conversation. The conversation is going to automatically stop. We'll handle our business. Then we'll continue our conversation when we start washing our hands.
yeah.
But that is not the time that I want to have a conversation with him.
Wow.
I don't want to talk.
It's
He
like you're
understands
focused.
that. I
You're
understand
focused.
that.
You're focused.
That's That's
Now
a little
that's
bit.
one part of the whole situation that I never knew.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
just
don't do
that's
that.
just bad rules. We just not gonna have that conversation.
Yeah.
And if I talk to Steve, he's not gonna answer me.
Nah.
He gonna probably
say
wonder why the
whatever.
heck you
He
talking
gonna be
to
like,
him.
he gonna be like,
Why he still talking?
Yeah.
and then he's like, bro, what was you saying?
Because he focused.
Later.
Yeah, he focused on what. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too intimate.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Oh gosh.
The things you learn on this thing called life.
Okay, then, and on that particular note, I want to thank everyone. Well, there was another comment. Yuri says, "How do you help a man who has so much anger and stuff built up inside?" And I think that that's going to be a separate one all by itself, because there are and when we get on our men speak segments, that is a good one, because there are some men who they don't possess anything but anger.
Funny,
It's
but so
funny but true, so true. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to thank our sometimes co-host for coming back. Our co-host / guest. You are always welcome to here.
I'm gonna try.
You're gonna try. You're gonna try.
Try to be as much as I can.
So, are you going to actually do your co-host duties on the 23rd for our anniversary party?
Definitely. That's a Saturday, right?
It is a Saturday.
Yep, definitely.
Yes. So, just for anyone who's listening, February 23rd, this thing called life is celebrating 1 year. We are having a very well. I won't say it's a big blowout, because we don't do over the top. That's not how we do things. It's not how we do things.
it's gonna be nice.
Okay, never mind the fact that I'm gonna have on my little formal gown and it's got a little train and it's.
See, that's what I'm saying.
And I'm gonna have a whole two costume changes.
Your birth was over the top.
You don't know nothing about that. Leave me alone. Anyway,
Over
but
the
yes,
top since day one.
shut up. February 23rd.
I'm not gonna be over the top.
February 23rd. For those of us who are interested, please contact Key D Life. No, our page is Key D, or you can go to the other show page, which is this thing called Life with or Life with Key and D, and for more information. And part of the reason why I'm saying for more information is because we are doing it. I won't say that it's invitation only, but it will be a limited audience. We will be doing a broadcast of our secondary page, which is Wind Down. Wind Down is our not safe for kids page. But it is where we get into more adult topics. It's where we get into we really go more in depth, and we touch on topics that are gonna be they're not really for the faint of heart, and they're definitely not for kids. And that will be so that party, our anniversary party, will be the first broadcast of actual Wind Down.
It must be too much for me.
Whatever. Anyway, so please make it a point to join us for the anniversary party. Next week we will be having some guests. We'll have guests because now we're going to start bringing back some of our guests from this past year to come in and talk to us. Next week is going to be all about the party, y'all, because it's going to be leading up into the actual party time. And so we'll be talking about some of our guests. We'll be talking about some of the events that we'll be having going on. We'll be announcing
officially our anniversary.
It'll be officially our anniversary next week. And then we'll be talking about, we're going to have some giveaways. And we're going to have several special events going on. And so we're going to share all of that with you next week. So please, please, please make it a point to tune in. www.newbeatradio.com or bit.ly/TTCL channel for this thing called Life channel on YouTube. And I want everyone to have a wonderful, wonderful, safe, blessed week. We will see you again next week as we gear up for party time here on this thing called
Life.
Good night, y'all.
We appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in and for your input. It was a good show.
It was.
It was
I
a
loved
good
it.
show. Thank you guys for your transparency. It takes men being transparent for men to become transparent.
Right.
you know. And like I said, I'm gonna do better because, there's some things that you all brought up, when it comes down to couples and relationships and how we as women should be when it comes down to our men when they're dealing with, whatever their emotional stuff is. And it's not always, but there's sometimes where I'm so wrapped up in all the stuff going on in my brain until I don't step out of my brain's way to open up my arms and my bosom to hear. Even though I fuss at him when I tell him, look, I can tell something wrong. What's going on with you? Talk to me. But, like you all say, there are times where you all just like to keep whatever it is and process. Because he tells me a lot. I'm processing right now. And when he gets through his processing part, then he actually comes and he will talk and, what have you. So I think that is,
I think that that's good to hear because, okay, first of all, are we still recording? Are we done?
Yeah, we're still.
Okay, because G and I have so many, character traits that are very similar.
Yeah.
I think it's very funny that that he can actually say to you, I'm processing. Because, I never actually say I'm processing, but I will shut down, I will disappear. I have been told you need to snap out of it because, you got some issues. I don't know what the hell's going on, but you need to fix it. And it's
But
been
that's
one
true
of
love from a
that's my bestie.
Yeah.
But he was just like, you need to whatever it is, you got to fix that because I don't know what the hell's going on.
Rein it in.
Fix it. But and so I think that's funny that you would say that that he's just like I'm processing.
But see, we've had to grow to that point.
Yes.
We've had to grow to that point because, for a long time, it just wasn't, we were that back and forth couple you were talking about.
Right.
We were that back and forth couple. We weren't communicating and we weren't listening. So we've grown in a lot of areas over the course
for
of years.
men is whether we want it or not, we got this big ass thing called ego.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what to do with it. And
But you all are conditioned
we're
from the womb basically because it's like if you're a boy and you're a baby and
Shake
you
it
cry,
off. Shake it off.
Shake it off.
But if you're a little girl, you gather her up and you just oh boo boo, it's gonna be all right. And what's wrong? Tell me what's wrong. And I think with me and Key, we're kind of the opposite because with the girls, we're like, hey, you have to toughen up.
You gotta shake this shit
But
off.
then when we see a young fella, like a little fella, whatever, it's like, oh, it's gonna be okay.
Shake that shit off. Let's go.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's me.
And then his dad comes around the corner and goes, "Don't baby that boy."
Right. So
Man,
it's
see,
kind of like the mixed signals.
Right. But it's.
But that's they say is this thing called life. But once again, we appreciate you all. We thank you all for joining us, and we will see you all next week on once again this thing called life. Until then, be blessed.
Good night, y'all.